This video is sponsored by Kuabu, Atlassian Gold Solution Partner and the Marketplace Partner. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. In this video, we're going to be discussing about the backup and restore feature that is presented by the Atlassian. Now, right from the get-go, I just want to say that this is not going to be the demonstration of the whole feature, because for this, you would need to contact the sales to create a deal, and based on that you actually need to buy this. That's right. So even if you're on the enterprise or premium, you would actually have to buy this, but I'm sorry, I'm not going to be doing that. Right from get-go, what we can actually see is automatic backups that can happen daily, weekly, or on demand, and restore the data within the 30 days using the Atlassian storage, and you can get the reliable protection. Now when we go more and when we look at the review of this, so first of all, it's saying that backups are stored in the Atlassian own storage. Now, there are benefits in the data backups. So first of all, we have two things in here, which is the data protection. And this can actually be some of the data that was lost by accidental deletion. Now, that answers the question, if you delete a project, if you delete a work item, if you delete any of those things, the question is, does that get restored? The answer would be, in this particular case, yes. And then hardware failure, software corruption, or a security breach. That can actually might also happen. Now there is a regulatory compliance saying that regular backups help meet these regulatory compliance requirements. This is for those companies who are actually working strictly with the certificates like SOC 2, or having some either ISO standards being applied. This is being applied for those specific companies. Now, the question is, who can use that, right? You have to be an org admin for that. You could actually see that on the previous screen, because only this part can be accessed by the org admin. Now, you can purchase so it's saying you can purchase Atlassian Backup and Restore add-on if you have premium or enterprise plan. So those who are on standard and free, this doesn't apply to them. But what if there are actually some small businesses that, yes, they do not use premium for Jira, they do not use premium for Jira Service Management, but their data is important, and they really care about the data, and everyone should be caring about their data. Now, there is also supported limits and billing for Atlassian Backup Restore. We're gonna go through that later, but if you're really kind of getting frustrated about this being built to the users, I can understand you, and I was not really happy with this announcement that was actually included, but alas, it is what it is. Now, there is first the data retention, and saying that the data is being stored in Atlassian own storage for 30 days, and they will be expiring on the 31st day. So when it expires, you cannot restore the backup, which is okay, and it's understandable. So, and then you have also the data residency. it doesn't support data residency in this time. Okay, so Atlassian would actually have to work towards this add-on more seriously, because if you don't accept data retention for, let's say, Germany or Switzerland or something like that, there might be a problem for that. So it's saying backups created using Atlassian Backup Restore will not be pinned to your chosen data residency location. Okay. And also there is a recovery point objective and recovery time objective. RTO means the maximum time it may take to restore your site after a failure. So it seems that if it's like 12 hours, it will take maximum of 12 hours. So actually that's good, because if it's saying if it's maximum 12 hours for something like that, you can be expecting that, and you can be working with some other data before this other data gets returned to you. So there is also the RPO, the amount of data measured in time that an organization can afford to lose if something goes wrong, based on backup frequency. That was actually something that I was telling you about in the previous one. So it's saying, so we have for Jira and JSM, so RTO for data size up to 300 gigabytes and attachment count up to 7 million. All right, so it's saying 12 hours. That means maximum of 12 hours, and the RPO for that is 24 hours, so it's doubled. Okay. It's really interesting to actually see someone using 7 million attachments. But let me tell you, it's possible if someone is, for example, using the Jira products either from 2010 or even maybe earlier, there are great possibilities for that, and there's nothing really strange about that. Not to mention the big enterprise companies that are really, really heavy reliance on Jira itself. Also, we have for Confluence, it's saying for 32 gigabytes of attachment and 32 gigabytes of storage, an attachment of 7 million is 12 hours and 24 hours RPO. Now, let's get into more interesting part. The billing. Okay, so who can purchase this? So you can purchase if you pay annually and have a, so this means annually, not monthly, but annually. So that actually means if you're on the annual plan, you cannot have Atlassian Backup and Restore. Ouch. Then, and your app instances are within the supported limits. Okay, interesting. Supported limits. There we go, finally. Supported data and attachments limits vary by the app itself. The data limits below represent compressed database sizes. Okay, so if your Jira Cloud and JSM are on the same side, your data is backed up together. So the aggregated data is counted towards 300 gigabytes and attachment limit of 7 million. User limit is user limit of 50K. So you have Jira Cloud, Jira, JSM, and Confluence. All right. So the limitation is JSM up to 300, up to 7 million attachments, 50K users. Here, so this means 50K of users of JSM. Now, I don't know if Atlassian has specified this, but the thing is, you have customers and you have agents. 50K of agents or 50K of customers, or the sum of both. It's not really saying that in here. It's not really that clear. For Jira Cloud, it's saying 50K users. And for Confluence, it's saying 150K of users. That's interesting. So why not having, that would be my first question, why not having that for 150K for both Jira Cloud and JSM as well? So now the question is, how does it work? Okay. So as you can see, free and standard are not there. Premium, Confluence, and it's saying only for Confluence Sandbox associated with the premium plan. Enterprise, the same thing. So basically that means your sandbox also needs to be on that specific plan. If you have a Jira Premium, it also needs to be on the Jira Premium sandbox. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Alright, so it can be only used in Jira family of apps and Jira family of sandboxes associated with the premium plan. So still, there's no support for Jira Product Discovery. If we are thinking about that basically Jira Product Discovery is indeed part of the Jira family, so it's not being included in here. And let's say that you have a company who is heavily reliant on product discovery, because there are a lot of product managers in there. And let's say that Jira is not used that much and JSM is not used that much. I mean, Jira is gonna be used because that is the main tool of the product managers out there, besides of Jira product discovery. So it's saying if you have a premium or enterprise plan for an app from the Jira family, the other app from the Jira also gets backed up. Okay, that's good. So right, so it's not giving prices in here. Biggest question of them all is what is being backed up? So that's good. That's good. So this is something that we need to know. All right, so first of all, and saying users and groups, what's not included? It says no answer. Space types, active spaces, personal spaces, and archived spaces, there says, well, no answers in there. But for the space data, a lot of stuff that are being handled, but analytics data, space shortcuts, and related pages settings, no. And this is for Confluence. Okay, I didn't read it. So for Confluence. And then you have page blog data, attachments. Okay, that's really good. Now, including history, likes, and everything else. So if it's saying attachments, that basically means what I can actually see that can have a heavy impact in there are images and videos. Those are big portion of attachments. And then you have analytics data, reaction, custom emojis, and public links. Well, not such a big deal. All right. Settings and permissions. Configuration, security, look and feel, administration. That's good. User avatars, passwords. Unless you've set up SSO, user will need to reset their passwords after data copy, which is okay. And it's understandable that it really doesn't restore passwords, right? Jira software boards and everything else. So for Jira, supported entity, users, and groups. So this has been confirmed. Project types, that's also good. Project data, also good. And now what's not included, like I said, Jira Product Discovery projects. What's not included? Oh, okay. Automation rules are not included. Why? That's oh, that's a big headache then. If you have to recreate every single automation rule out there, that would be troublesome. This part would be troublesome. But it's saying import and export Jira automation rules. Yeah, but if you're having like 100 automation rules per project and you have like 50 projects, do the math. It's gonna take a lot of time actually doing that. Product access settings, application links, Jira audit log, and goals. Okay. Issues data. It's now work item data, boards, and so on. JSM project data, but doesn't return language support, customer notifications, and everything else. For the language support, it's not a big deal that much. Oh, because language support actually works in this kind of a way, because it can be problematic, because if you're actually having a support portal for multiple languages out there, let's say you have for Spanish, you have for Italian, you have for French, you have for German, and so on and so forth, right? And you're relying on that. And yeah, especially let's say if you're a school or something like that, and that we're basically having teachers and everything else who are teaching different languages or different course materials. Language support basically works that JSM detects things that could be translated, but not all of the things are getting translated. Some things are missed out. So imagine that you would have to do this again. It would take a lot of time. Knowledge bases. That also could take some time as well to do it all over again. All right, so assets management. Data manager is not there. Import history is not there. Services schema is not there. So a lot of stuff is not supported for the assets. IT operations such as incident, change management, alerts, AI, ops, chat, widgets, and everything else, that is not being restored at all. Which is okay, that you can actually set up once again. But another burden that could actually be here is for your AI chatbots. If it was before, where basically your AI chatbot wasn't really referencing to Rovo, because now it's more easier with Rovo. Before that, it was a disaster, really. But now you can just connect your agent back, and basically that's it. So that means if you're doing the data back, if you're actually doing the backup and restore option, for you it would mean, now the question is, are Rovo agents saved or not? And the answer is no, because this is only for Jira and Confluence. So my opinion on this is that basically I believe that Atlassian, if they're already working on this, they would actually need to add some, it would actually need to some additions to this and the other versions of fixes, or however you actually want to call it. But overall, it's useful. It does restore a lot of stuff in there. Minor things that are not being restored are okay, but the main things, such as the important data, is basically there, and they're actually keeping that data residency out there. And yeah, that's about it for today's video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel as well. See ya. Bye.